For our next speaker this afternoon, I have the pleasure of introducing Paul Bibby. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Paul? Bibby. Paul Bibby, Managing Director, AKORA Resources. Paul Bibby is a metallurgist with 40 years' experience across the mining and metals industry. His first 23 years was with Rio Tinto in operational, technical and business development roles, including Kaltim Primacoal in Indonesia and Rio Tinto Iron Ore at Parabudu and Dampier Port. Paul joined Sinofex as General Manager Technology, then played a leading role in merging the Sinofex and Umicore zinc smelting businesses, forming Nestar, becoming Chief Development Officer based in London. Returning to Australia in 2008, Paul was appointed CEO of Oceana Gold Corporation. He then performed several workout roles for Australian-listed entities before being instrumental in listing AKORA in December 2020. Paul Bibby.
Good afternoon, everybody. AKORA Resources is high-grade iron ore to feed the green steel future. I think we all understand the disclaimers. The corporate overview. AKORA has been quite fortunate in the last year. With the work that we've been doing, the progress that we've made, our share price has remained fairly steady at 18 cents, which I feel is a great credit to our shareholders and the story that's unfolding at AKORA. We've only got under 100 million shares listed, outstanding, so our market capital basically is the share price. If it's 18 cents, it's $18 million market capitalisation, so relatively small. We've got many significant shareholders on the register. The top 20 shareholders plus the board of directors own 60% of the company, so it's very tightly held. Our board chairman is Mr. Mike Sturzaker, very strong experience in accounting and finance. Myself, managing director, metallurgist by training. And Matthew Gill recently joined the board, 40 years experience, a mining engineer, has developed 4 mines in Australia and overseas, so he also brings some very worthwhile practical experience to our team as we progress the exploration into development phase. As I mentioned, we're high-grade iron ore and we're in Madagascar. So you've heard a bit about Madagascar and the excitement that's going on there. And if you look at the map there in the centre, those orange dots are advanced exploration projects, 2 of which have been spoken about already. So they're the green dots. The orange dots are operational mines and processing plants across Madagascar. So there's already quite a bit of activity. And with the changes, with the updating of the mining code and the like, I think we're about to see quite a bit more activity as others feel the confidence that's going to be driven by those changes. AKORA has 4 projects, Tra Marina and Ambody Lafa on the east coast, classic banded iron formations. And the project we're focusing on is Beki Sopa in the south centre of Madagascar. The reason we're focusing on that is that high-grade outcrop you can see on that left-hand photograph, grading 67% iron ore, which is a pretty good grade when you think that the benchmark grade is 62%. The photo on the right is a trench. It's about 2 to 3 metres deep there. You can see the lump and fines iron ore, and the nearby drill hole delivered 66% iron for that material. So what we're looking at Beki Sopa after 2.5 years of drilling is a staged development where we have a low-cost operation delivering lump and fines direct ship iron ore. So that basically means mining, crushing, screening, and then delivering your product to the customer, and then use the cash generated from that to have a high-grade plus 68% iron concentrate product for the green steel future. So as mentioned, we listed in December 2020 and a great deal has been achieved. We've proved up our maiden resource, just under 200 million tonnes, and we've only done shallow drilling on 30% of the 6-kilometre strike at Beki Sopa. This year, we've had an indicated resource in the weathered zone of some 4.4 million tonnes at 61%, which will be the starting tonnes for a DSO operation. Beneath that weathered zone is a green steel resource, 34 million tonnes at 58% DTR, And that upgrades very readily to 69% iron concentrate with very low impurities. And that's what the future is all about for us. The exploration potential has been defined at some 500 million to 1 billion tonnes just at Becky Soper. The geological advantage at Becky Soper is we have the high-grade outcrop and weathered zone, and the mineralisation in the fresh rock isn't a banded iron formation. It's a very coarse iron mineralisation that upgrades very readily at coarse sizes. The strategy, as I mentioned, is a direct ship operation initially, which is low production cost, low capital cost. As a startup, the funds that are generated from that, we can then enhance the process, add to the process, and have grinding and magnetic separation circuits to produce a concentrate for the green steel future. And we've spoken about that. Not only will the product be a sought-after product, better than 68% iron with low impurities, it's going to be produced from solar electricity. Madagascar, where we are located in Madagascar, is one of the highest solar intensities in the world. And already in Madagascar this year, solar fields of 10 hectares and more have been delivered and at the Rio Tinto operation and at the Ambatavi operation. So that's looking very promising for us. The geographical advantage for Madagascar and our project is that we're close to the Indian iron and steel industry, which is rapidly growing, and we're also close to the Middle East, where they're currently producing green pellets for the steel industry. We've had continued drilling success over the last 2.5 years. We've had 4 drilling programs. 250 holes have been drilled, and we only missed iron mineralisation twice. That magnetic image on the left you can see is very strong, very intense. We've confirmed the mineralisation continues along that 6-kilometre strike. It's below the outcrop. It's extensive near-surface high-grade material. In the north, we've drilled to a depth of 300 metres. All the other holes have been very shallow. And the iron mineralisation is from 50 to 170 metres wide, so quite a significant ore body. And that's just at Becky Soper, and we also have some nearby tenements which have yet to be explored. So this slide shows the Becky Soper tenement up in the sort of the top right-hand corner of the image. And on the southwest is the Satrikala tenements, some 10 to 30 kilometres of magnetic anomaly, where we expect there to be iron mineralisation similar to what we've found at Becky Soper. We took some rock chips from Satrikala last year, and along the 10-kilometre strike, those rock chips were very high grade, and we're going to work through methodically, as we did at Becky Soper, identify a resource, do the product trials, and what we think we have here is quite a significant iron ore district in Madagascar. This is the tenement on the left-hand side. The red dots are plus 65% iron, the orange dots 60 to 65% iron. And you can see the countryside, nothing there. The ground is predominantly iron ore, so not too much grows. There's nothing for the cattle or the people. And the rock chips there on the top right-hand side, 68% and 64.5%. So some pretty nice product. So into the green steel. Today, the global emissions from the iron and steel industry is around 7 or 8%. And that's because the predominant method is the blast furnace, which uses coking coal. And for every tonne of iron and steel that's produced around the world, there's 2 tonnes of CO2 emissions. The feed to the blast furnace is from 56, maybe a bit lower, to, at very best, 65% iron in lump, fines and pellets. The silica and alumina, which are considered the main impurities, range from 6 to 8% and probably more like 12% in some cases around the world. To get to net zero by 2050, we have to transition from blast furnaces to electric arc furnaces or similar. Those furnaces need to be powered by renewables, solar and wind and batteries, and fed from direct reduced iron pellets. So high-grade pellets, low impurities, that are produced by fusing the fine concentrate together using natural gas or ideally hydrogen. The feed grade for that needs to be better than 67%. And the majority of iron ore in the world today cannot be upgraded to 67% because they can't remove the impurities of silica and alumina to less than 3.5% and ideally less than 2%. So there's an opportunity for AKORA with our low impurity level, high-grade concentrates. This is a slide from Wood Mackenzie's, a well-recognised consultants, who are saying the demand for high-grade concentrate is expected to increase fivefold by the year 2050, from around 150 million tonnes today to near on 800 million tonnes. So quite a significant growth. But what this slide shows is they can't see where the supply is coming from. And AKORA hasn't been included in this data. So there's quite a deficit in demand for high-grade magnetite concentrates. And all being well, AKORA is well placed to deliver the premium product, low impurities, in time for this shortfall, and maybe some pretty nice prices to go with that. Comparing AKORA to other projects. So the first one I've spoken about is the high-grade iron ore. So AKORA is the black band there, or bar, amongst the six. A number of those projects which are in development or in production around the world are delivering better than 67% iron ore. AKORA is doing it at a grind size of 75 microns. Those other projects are grinding to 15, 20 and 40 microns. So they're already doing a lot more power, a lot more energy to get that high-grade iron ore. The interesting thing, which people are only starting to understand, myself included, is the impurity levels. So getting it below 2% is quite a task. And as you can see there in those competitor analysis, most already grinding very finely aren't achieving the 2% target. And they can't really grind a lot finer to remove those impurities. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes forward. At AKORA, we're seeing about 1.2 to 1.5 combined silica and alumina. And that's because our grade is high and our mineralogy is coarse. So it's a great advantage for us. Also a feature of AKORA's project, which is on the right-hand corner of that right-hand image, our grade at 58% readily upgrades. We only need to mine 1.6 tonnes to get a tonne of product. Some of the other projects which have much lower grades, 15, 30%, are mining 6 and 7 tonnes of mined ore to get a tonne of product. So they need more trucks, more shovels, more crushing circuits, more grinding circuits, so more capital and also more higher operating costs. So that's another advantage for our project going forward. What I've spoken about so far is the averages, and we've done over 3,000 Davis tube tests, which is the test you need to do to understand the iron concentrate grade. Here's a piece of drill core from 28 metres below surface, average grade 40%. That upgrades to 70% iron with 0.5 silica, 0.7 alumina, 003 phosphorus and 004 sulphur, an ideal product for the steel industry. And I'm hoping that once people recognise and see that we're out there and we've got these sorts of grades, I'll have a few more people ringing me up and wanting to talk to me. And the thing is, we're achieving this at 75 microns, a coarse size, lower operating costs, and I think as a result, our product is going to be well placed for the green steel future. Below the DSO, which was those initial photos I showed you, the outcropping iron ore, the weathered zone, which is the purple part here in the top right-hand corner of the image, is the fresh rock. And those colours there, the reds, the purples and that, they're grades of 50, 60% iron in that fresh rock. And there's 34 million tonnes there. At 1.7 tonnes mined to a tonne of product, that's 20 years of mine life at 2 million tonnes of product, just there in the southern zone. 45% grade, readily upgrades to 69%. So this is all new information that's been developed since about May of this year, and it's looking very exciting for us. My first visit to Madagascar was in 2017, and from the first time I went to site, I visited the nearby people at the village and sat down and let them know what we were doing. We're going to do field work, we're going to do drilling, and they came and joined us. We've continued to have consultation meetings every time that I visit, and as a result, people from the villages are all working with us on the drill rigs. They're working in different areas and learning new skills. The work is shared around. We've also delivered medical goods, school goods, and in December 21, we drilled a water well, put in place that water tank and taps around the village, and the first time they ever had fresh water. And 6 months later, the kids no longer had diarrhoea, and the health of the community improved significantly. The geographical advantage for Madagascar is that we're close to India. India is a rapidly growing iron and steel producer. They're looking to double their production by 2030 from 130 million tonnes to 250 million tonnes, and they're going to need some lump and fines iron ore, and Madagascar is the closest place to get it from. The Middle East is also nearby, and they'll want the concentrate to produce high-grade DRI pellets for their electric arc furnaces. But we can also ship anywhere else into Asia. So my last slide is a quote from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. And he said the next 1,000 unicorns, so that they're companies that have a market valuation of over $1 billion. They won't be search engines. They won't be media companies. They'll be businesses developing green hydrogen, which we hear a lot about here in WA, green agriculture and green steel, and AKORA is playing in the green steel world. So hopefully there's some opportunity for improvement going forward. So thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you being here this afternoon and listening to the team from Madagascar speak. These are some photos I took 2 weeks ago in Madagascar with my new director standing on massive outcrops of iron ore. And there's a trench and you can see lump and fines. The opportunity is great, and I really appreciate you being here and listening. Thank you.